Hello and welcome to this rather early race today here for round 6 of the season 3 of the virtual Le Mans series here at SimRacing.Club, and it's the first of our sprint races today, the first of the Lime Rock sprints. My name is Neil Heatley and I'll be helping guide you through proceedings, at least for this race. Hopefully I'll have my partner in crime, Nick Newcomb, coming along with me later on. But yes, here we go. Race 1 of the sprints, and it's the LMP2's turn to go round this very, very fast 1.5 mile circuit in Connecticut in the USA. The times at the moment, you can see how fast they are. The pole position time at the moment of 41.180. There isn't a minute in front of that. It is 41 seconds. It is fast, it is furious, and it is going to be so much fun. Just the 9 cars here at the moment, but that will certainly not dampen the experience, dampen the excitement, like we always have here in the VLMS. At the moment, with about 7 minutes to go in the qualifying session, is Marcel Schiznik in the number 6 Blackhawk racing car on provisional pole. Then just 0.08 of a second behind is the number 46 Reborn Racers of Lorenzo Arisi. Then it's the number 1 Wanaco for Milan, the 11-1 Target of Martin Furman, the 30 Hydra Esports of Jordi Sears, the number 2 Gravity Racers, the 37 Rookie Monsters of Matthew Beavis. Then it's the 96 and the 99, the 2 Speedamite racing cars, bringing up the rear. Alan Rolfsgroth and Ollie McGowan, those two. But yes, these LMP2 cars are incredibly quick round here. They're reaching up to 280 kilometers an hour before braking for turn 1. And there are quite a few danger points that you will have to look for on the circuit this afternoon. Of course, the turn 1-2 combination, it tightens forever and forever. It just keeps on tightening, and it's very easy just to go sliding off, just understeer off through there. Another danger point is going to be the last corner. That is incredibly fast, flat out for these LMP2 cars, but once you get onto worn tyres, it might not be flat out anymore. And something, of course, that all of these drivers will have to come, or these teams have to come twice to this afternoon, is pit lane. Pit road is incredibly, not only, it's incredibly difficult to get to because you have to go immediately from the left-hand side of the circuit out of the last corner to the right-hand side of the circuit, the inside, and slow down in time. I would not be surprised if we see a few speeding penalties during the race. But Lorenzo Arisi has managed to retake that provisional pole position in the Reborn Racers car. A 41.127 at the moment, half a tenth faster than Marcel Schiznik in the number 6 Blackhawk. There's 4 minutes to go left in this qualifying session, so all of the drivers will be getting amped up, ready for their final sprints to the flag. Of course, normally they would just do one flying lap and then done. But here you can maybe get 2 or 3 out of the tyres because the track is so short. Lorenzo Arisi just coming out of the pit lane for one final time. 3 minutes and 40 seconds left in the session. That means he'll have enough time for about 4 or 5 flying laps should he need it. The same goes for Rick Van Earl in the number 2 Gravity racing car. He's just coming out of the pits for the final time. Alan Groff from the Speedamite number 96 car And same will go for Martin Furman in the 11, Marcel Schiznik in the 6. They're all coming out for their final runs, their glory runs, if you will, to try and make it to the first position. 9 cars at the moment covered by 9/10 of a second. The top 3 covered by 1/10 and a half. But any one of the top 5, I would say, still has a chance of taking this pole position. Arisi, Schiznik, Milan, Spheres, and Furman, all very, very fast drivers and have proven it throughout the season. Now, the second last qualifying session for these LMP2 cars this season, and indeed in the VLMS. Want to bump up those stats. Always want another pole position, always want another podium, always want another win. This is what these 9 teams will be aiming for this afternoon. As Marcel Schiznik gets back onto pole position. Marcel Schiznik on that number 6 car has retaken that number 1 place. A 41.067 for the Blackhawk Racing car, 600ths of a second ahead of Lorenzo Risi in the Reborn Racers. So Schiznik, Arisi, Milan, the top 3. A quarter of a second separates the 3 of them. Can Arisi and Milan do anything to try and retake that pole position away from the number 6? It could well be done on the final lap here. As Schiznik comes around to start his final lap. Bormalad does his thing down the hill towards the final right-hander. I'm thinking Lorenzo Risi might just run out of time to put in his final lap. I think Arisi didn't get there in time. Marcel Schiznik has abandoned his lap. The same goes for Bora Milan abandoning his lap. Jordi Spheres just coming down the hill towards the final corner. Through that flat out right-hander, Spheres able to go faster, but not able to improve position in that number 30 Hydra Esports car. Lorenzo Risi might have actually got to the start-finish line in time. He's just coming around the final corner. I think he did. So Risi crossing the line and not able to go any faster. That's it for qualifying here at Lime Rock Park for the LMP2 sprint. And it is the number 6 Blackhawk Racing that takes pole position from the 46 Reborn Racers. Number 1 Wanaco, your top 3. as the drivers are all about to be briefed by the race director for this afternoon. As ever, it is Bernd Schmidt. The race briefing has been completed by Bernd Schmidt and all the cars. We've got 10 cars now out on track. Nico Barclay has joined, which does mean the number 17 is here. It was something that I was going to mention in this part actually, but the number 17 now has joined. So that means that the championship, the LMP2 championship, is almost certainly guaranteed to go to Sebring in 4 weeks' time. If you have a look at the top of the LMP2 championship, just 1 point separates number 17 Wanako on 93 points, number 6 Blackhawk Racing on 94. You can't get any closer than that. It looks like, and then I must say 33 points behind the number 17 is the sister car, the number 1 Wanako. So it really is a straight fight between the number 6 and the number 17 for the championship. And something else that Bernd Schmidt mentioned in the pre-race briefing was that, of course, this is a shorter race today. It's only 2 3/4 hours. It's only 2 hours and 45 minutes. But there is still the 70% rule. That means that no one driver can complete more than 70% of the race. But what I find fairly interesting is that 30% of the race this afternoon is 49.5 minutes. We've seen these LMP2 cars be able to do about 50 to 52 minutes on a tank before, but because Line Rock is so fast and so much of it is full throttle, they're going to be using more fuel than that. So I think an actual stint in these LMP2 cars is going to be less than 49.5 minutes. So this is going to be something very interesting and strategic. All of these teams are going to have to try and find out, can we make it to that 49.5, that 50-minute mark? And then just swap a driver, then just run to the end of the race. Nothing, of course, if there is a code 80, or in this case I believe it's a code 100, in the first stint, in these first 50 minutes, that's going to impact the driving time, because of course it's 70% of the laps that they're not allowed to complete. So if there's a code 80 in the first 30 minutes, but yeah, something that's fairly interesting. If there's a code 80 or indeed a code 100 in the first stint, that of course means they're not going to complete as many laps, and because this is a short, fast circuit, that's going to put them right on the borderline of making that work, of making the taking out one driver at the first stop working. It's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens, whether they decide to make it a 3-stop and just split the race into quarters, or whether they'll try and do a two-stop strategy, stretch the fuel as much as possible, and take a driver out at the first stop. It's going to be fairly interesting to see what strategy these drivers will pick. So just a couple of minutes to go until we get racing here at Lime Rock. And in the warm-up session, although it doesn't really mean anything, the warm-up session currently topped by Bormilan in the number 1 car, 42.3. Then it is Jordi Spheres in the number 30, and Marcel Ziznik in the 6. Of course, it doesn't mean anything. It is just a chance for these drivers to get used to the race fuel again, get used to what a full tank feels, because of course they have been qualifying for the last 45 minutes. Just trying to go as fast as possible. So once you've done that for quite a while, you just kind of forget what the car feels like. You just kind of forget what they do. So this warm-up session is of the most importance, the utmost importance to all of these teams. Having a look at the weather plugin that I'm looking at, or at least the weather forecast that I'm looking at, it does look like that there may well be rain at some point during this race, and that is just going to add something else into the mix. The one that I've got here is this possible light rain starting in 40. That, of course, is by no means guaranteed. The weather can always change, but there could well be rain coming in the first half of this race, and almost certainly in the second half of this race. Well, I say almost certainly the second half of the race. You know exactly what's going to happen now. As warm up is now finished, and at the end of it is a race from Spheres from Milan. It's the 46 reborn racers. from the number 30 Hydra Esports and the number
Attention grid, will all non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
As we have now gone into the gridding phase, these 10 LMP2 cars, these 10 Orica 07s, taking to the track ready for 2 3/4 hours of racing here at Lime Rock Park. It's going to be fast and furious. It's a bull ring here, and with just 42-second laps in race pace, it is going to be unbelievable fun. And as they go running down the grid for you, it's the number 6 Blackhawk Racing from the number 46 Reborn Racers, number 1 Wanaco, the number 30 Hydra Esports, the number 11 One Target, the 37 Rookie Monsters, the number 2 Gravity Racing, the number 96 Speedy Mite, the number 99 Speedy Mite. Then, rounding out the field is the car that is second place in the championship and needs to score to keep the championship alive, the number 17 Wanaco. That number 17 Wanaco is at such a disadvantage starting from the back of the field. Today may well be just about damage limitation for as they're coming through the second to last corner and ready to launch themselves down the hill. Coming onto the start finish straight, you've got to remember they get to come off the throttle when they cross the start finish line. And as Shiznik crosses the line, we are green here at Lime Rock. And look at that almost immediate move there. Martin Furman trying to go up the inside of Jordi Spheres, sideways, out onto the grass on the outside and drops back 2-3 positions. Martin Furman takes that 4th position almost immediately. And Nico Barkley already making moves, passing Ollie McGowan for 9th place. So Barkley already plus 1 position. The same goes for Martin. As they come across the crest of the hill, then down the hill again. And Shiznik crosses the start-finish line to lead the lap 1. Finally, as they cross the line, Barkley 5.5 seconds off of Shiznik, and that just goes to show how important qualifying is here in the VLMS. Because Barkley trying to fight back all the way up the pack towards that number 6 car is going to lose a lot more time battling. Of course, Marcel Shiznik in the best seat in the house, being in 1st position and having all of that lovely, lovely clean air. So Shiznik, Arisi, Milan, the top 3, and they've kind of broken away a little bit from 4th position. Martin Furman is 2nd, covering the top 3, and it's another 2nd back to 4th, so a little breakaway happening. And another battle pack for that 4th position of Furman, Van Earl, Arisi, Beavis, and Groth, all there behind in a line, just waiting for their opportunity to pass. And their best opportunity is going to be, I believe. As Jordi Spheres goes very, very wide off of the final corner. And this is just another thing about Lime Rock Park. There are no runoffs here. It is just grass and then Armco. There is absolutely nothing you can do here almost if you go off at high speed. The grass doesn't really offer that much protection, doesn't really offer that much friction against the tyres. If you go off at high speed here at Lime Rock, well, that may well be day over for you as Rolf Groth in the 96 car goes very wide. And look, there's a move there for 4th place perhaps. No, Rick Van Aerle just had a little look to the inside of Martin Furman. Perhaps just showing he's there. And because of that look, he hadn't compromised the line into turn 1. And Jordi Spheres is right there on the rear wing of the number 2 Gravity Racing. Coming down diving turn. What sort of speeds they reach as they come down to turn 1? Well, in the draft, Rick Van Aerle just reached over 290 kilometers an hour. That edible speed. North of 290 kilometers an hour, coming through this uphill chicane, and that is fairly interesting. That chicane, it requires quite a bit of precision and just keeping control of the car because the curbs in the chicane are so tall. It really is right. Oh, look at that! That was a big twitch for Beavis coming out of diving turn, coming out of the final corner. That was a big twitch for the Rookie Monsters 37. Yes, the curbs as they come through the chicane are so tall, it really does rattle your bones every single time you go over it, and you just need to be perhaps a little bit more careful on the throttle because you don't really want to be on full throttle as you land because that can easily just spear the car in one direction or another. Schusnick's starting to check out of the race a little. Over a second, the gap at the front now. Not only is the Blackhawk racing car just moving away ever so slightly lap after lap, they also have the fastest lap at the moment, a 42.7 for the number 6 car. The next fastest lap is the one currently in second place, Lorenzo Risi in the 46, a 42.792. The snake for 4th place. It appears that Groth in the 96 car has fallen off the back of this train a little bit. Something else which I quite find shall I try and start that sentence again? Something else that I find quite interesting about these LMP2 cars that we're using is that the aero wash is much more important now. It's got a much bigger effect now than the mods that we have used previously, which does make it a little bit more difficult to follow, especially in these very high speed turns that we have here at Lime Rock. It is still possible to pass if you just get a good run out of West Bend, that second to last corner, and dive down the hill, then get that slipstream along the front straight down into turn 1. It is still possible to pass. Just need to make sure that you have a good run and just hope the driver ahead has a slightly worse one. The Burmalan just falling ever so slightly back. Parisi now as well, actually, in that number 37 Reborn Racers car. And having a look at the pace of Nico Barclay as well, that number 17 car, of course, that's one that we're going to be looking at this afternoon because they need to have a good result in order to have a good chance at Sebring in 4 weeks' time to win the LMP2 championship. Their last lap was a 43.1. The Speedymite Racing number 96 ahead was a 43.2, I believe. So just gaining or so at the moment. And look at the gap that Marcel Shisnik has now. Seconds the gap. As Nico Barclay has passed Groth, as Groth comes into the pits. The number 96 car is the first caller into the pit lane this afternoon. And I'm not sure whether that would have been because of an incident on track. It looks like, no, to my eyes, that looks like it's a full stop. Perhaps, I'm just thinking, perhaps that number 96 car is already working backwards from the end of the race. Going for a little alternate strategy, perhaps. Because if these cars can do 50 minutes on a full tank, that means they could do it with three full stints from here. Well, almost 3 full stints from here. They might need to just stretch the fuel a little bit. So I'm just wondering if that number 96 car decided to go for an alternate strategy. And there we go, and as they go now, Marcel Shisnik passes, and you can see how much time a full service takes here. Because that's 2 laps that he's lost. As he moves to the inside to let everyone pass. Onto the grass, actually. I think that was a little bit too much there. Yes, so Groth allows everyone passing. He's lost 2 laps. This goes to show how much pain and suffering a full stop causes here, and of course how important it is to not be caught out by a code 80, because if you are, you're suddenly trapped a lap down and you can kiss your hopes of victory goodbye. As the 2, the 30 and the 37 are in a line, and that's someone else coming in for a pit stop, I believe, behind, if my eyes didn't deceive me. It's Groth coming in again for a stop. What is happening to that number 96 car? I'm wondering, so it's going bad to worse for the Speedy Mike car, at least one of them. And there he goes again now. I'm just wondering, he's now 3 laps down. I'm just wondering whether that might well have been a speeding penalty for the number 96. And look at the gap that Shisnik now has on the rest of the field. It's over 3 seconds. He's checking it. He's checking out at the moment. Marcel Shisnik driving like it's a Sunday afternoon. Oh, as that said, that's Johnny Spears off and into the barriers at turn 1. Spears and off into the barrier in the number 30 Hydra Esports car. Has he got suspension damage? I don't know, he may well have. That's looking fairly interesting indeed. He has got a little bit of a left hand down a bit. The Spheres there with suspension damage in the first incident of the afternoon. This may throw a real spanner in the works of some of these team strategies, because it is the Code 80 problem that I was talking about before. Coming back to green, and Spheres is in the pits to re-fix that damage. Now that is something that perhaps some of these teams were dreading. That 30% mark is, of course, at 49.5 minutes. Now, just having that short Code 80 could well put their second driver over 70% should they decide to swap out at the first pit stop. So having a look after that Code 80 period, wait until Shiznik and Arise both cross the start finish line, so we get to really see what the gap of the field. And that is a big gap now. That's 6.5 seconds at the front of the field. Furman, Van Earl and Beavis are in a line for 4th position now. They're coming through the west bend and down the hill towards diving turn. As Jordi Spheres comes out in front of these three, he's 3 laps down now as well in the number 30 car. And there we go, as Furman reached Georgie Spheres there on the number 30 car. Spheres moving gracefully out of the way to the left hand side of the circuit out of the chicane. As Van Earl now looks to be under attack from Beavis almost. The number 2 car has fallen away from the back of the number 11. Oh, and Van Earl there very wide at the chicane. I thought Beavis could have well capitalised on that, but it appears no, he didn't really have that great a run out of the west bend. The second to last corner at the top of the hill. And I think I can see that Beavis is perhaps just a little bit quicker than the number 2 car at this point in the stint. He just kind of comes up to the back of the two, then just falls away a little bit again as dust being thrown up there by the number 11 car ahead, going slightly wide out of the west bend at the top of the hill. But yeah, the gap between the 2 and the 37 is just yo-yoing ever so slightly. That's what makes me think that perhaps the 37 could be a little bit faster in this point in time. And Van Aert had a bad run out of the S's there, but just not enough time for Beavis to go side by side. Will he go side by side through the chicane? No. Deciding the better of it. But he's right there under the rear wing of the number 2. I think Rick Van Aert is starting to really feel the pressure, starting to make a few more mistakes. I think Van Aert is starting to feel the pressure just a little bit. To make their way through the S's and up towards Big Bend and Beer Wing. And these two battling is allowing not only Furman to get away ahead, but also Nico Barkley to close in behind. The gap that was the best part of 3 seconds before is now down to 2. Almost 2 seconds exactly as they cross the line there, the gap between Beavis and Barclays. That's Burr Milan off. Milan is off from 3rd place at turn 1. I think that was just a simple driving error. Indeed it was, just getting a little bit too fast into turn 1, got 2 wheels on the grass on the outside, then looped it. So Burr Milan with an incident, a mistake there from 3rd place. It's dropped him back down to 7th behind his teammate in the number 17. They see that Rick Van Aert in that number 2 car has been disqualified, and I'm wondering what that could be. Could it well be that it was a track limits violation that he got a drive-through for but never completed it? That drops the number 2 car out of the running and releases Matthew Beavis to attack the number 11 one target car of Martin Carman, who in turn has been promoted up into 3rd place because of that incident with Burr Milan a few laps ago. So Barkley and Beavis, that is the gap that I'm going to have a keen little interest on as it stands, because that number 17 car with Nico Barkley currently at the wheel is very, very fast. We've seen it all the way through this season. Currently 2nd place in the championship with 93 points. 1 win, 2 2nd places, a 3rd and a 4th. Out of the 5 races so far. Incredibly fast and incredibly consistent as well. And that's why they're right up there with a good chance at the championship. But what the number 17 cars has in consistency, they've been beaten by the number 6 Blackhawk Racing with raw pace. That number 6 car did only score 1 point at Road Atlanta, a 10th place finish there. for the number 6, but they have counteracted that with 3 wins out of 5. A win at Istanbul, a win at Portimao, and a win last time out as well at Watkins Glen. And a second place at round 3 at Mosport. So they've had the pace, they've used that raw pace to regain those lost points from Road Atlanta's. Rick Van Erl has rejoined the race. He's down in 10th place and 4 laps down though. So Van Erl has rejoined the race 4 laps down. Of course, 4 laps down here would normally be just 1 lap at other circuits, but because this track is so fast and takes so little time to go around, it does mean that when you lose a lap, when you have to come into the pits, you lose multiple. What I thought Barkley might have been able to catch down and chase down Beavis, that really hasn't happened. There's 2 seconds between the two of them at the moment. And lap times are pretty much identical, just 100th of a second separating the two of them. It really is pretty much equal between Barkley and Beavis. And Bora Milan, we saw that he had pace, he qualified very well. Up there in 3rd position, and just that little mistake at turn 1. That little mistake at Big Bend. Means that he has to now try fight back up through the pack past not only his teammate but also through the rookie monsters and the 1 target car in order to regain that 3rd position. But that is far easier said than done, especially in a field with the caliber and speed that this one has. And we talk about how fast this track is. We're only, I'm at about 27 minutes in, and we've already completed 36 laps. It really is a bull ring here. And lap just merges into the next one. Lap just merges into lap. You start to dream, you start to lose track of what you're doing. Just waiting for that low fuel light to come on before it beckons you into the pits. And that's what really these drivers are going to be looking at. They're going to be looking at that fuel gauge just consistently, constantly, working out how many laps can they do left on this tank, how much do they need to fill up to get to the end of the race. What do they need to do? And of course, tyres are going to be another big question in this race, because these left sides are absolutely killed round here. There's so few left-hand corners around here, the left-hand corner is called the left-hand bend. There is only one left-hand corner around here. And the rest of them are all rights, all the way through 1 and 2. Because there's such a big load placed on the tyres through there, that really hurts them. And the same would go for West Bend and Diving Bend, the last two. They're very, very fast. A lot of load put through the left-hand tyres through there as well. This gap between Furman and Beavis, that's back down to under a second now. Beavis starting to get quite a bit closer, ready to perhaps just start launching a move into that number 11 car. We saw in the battle that he had with the number 2 car of Rick Van Erl on that Gravity Racing car, he was very, very feisty when it came to battling. Hopefully he can bring that again to that number 11 car and fight for that final podium position. As it stands just now, of course, that may well change in the future because nothing is certain in endurance racing. Anything can happen in endurance racing, and it certainly does. As Alan Roland Groth comes back in that number 96 car and gets going again. Shiznik is just kind of managing the gap at the front at the moment. 5.5 seconds is where it's been fluctuating the past 10 minutes or so. So I think he may well just be managing that gap back to the Reborn Racers number 46. And Beavis closing. He certainly has got a lot of race pace, has that number 37 Rookie Monsters car. Much more race pace than it appears qualifying pace. And Beavis, he's right there under the rear wing now. This could be a very, very good showing for the number 37 Rookie Monsters car. And look at that, Furman has to go defensive. He moves to the middle of the road down the front straight. Beavis moving to the inside. No, just showing his nose there. So Beavis just trying to perhaps psych out Martin Furman a little bit, but of course we know the caliber of Martin Furman in that number. Oh, the pace of that car. I see that he just went very, very wide into the chicane. They're barging side by side coming out of it. And Furman is on top for now, but he's certainly been rattled by the Rookie Monsters car. Coming down towards turn 1, can Beavis do anything about it this time round? The answer is no. But Beavis very, very feisty. Of course, these two battling means that it could soon become a 4-car battle for third place, because the two Wanakos are sneaking in. They're hunting down these two. It could be the 11, the 37, the 1 and the 17 all in a line. After that last attack, Beavis just falling back a little bit, getting ready to launch another one, because he knows that if he doesn't pass on the next attack, the next opportunity he has, he's going to have two very, very hungry tacos sat there right behind him. And nobody wants two hungry tacos. Seven gearing up for the next attack. Coming down the front straight. Reaching 290 kilometers an hour before braking for Big Bend. An apex speed of 145. Coming through turn 2, an apex speed. Second part is, of course, a double apex. An apex speed of about just under 140. Coming up towards the chicane. The slowest corner of the track at 110. That being the slowest corner of the track at 110 kilometers an hour shows you how fast Lime Rock Park is. And Beavis right there, Furman goes wide at West Bend. Beavis says thank you very much and moves the 37 up into a podium position. Now Furman is going to be under attack from Nico Barclay. Could corners. Will he move to the left or the right? Barclay moves to the right hand side of the circuit but doesn't make a move towards the inside this time round. So Martin Furman, after making that mistake and after losing that podium position, just needs to recollect himself now and make sure that he doesn't fall prey to Nico Barclay and that number 17 Wanako behind. As Groth comes back into the pit lane in the number 96 car. And Groth comes back out 9th place for the number 96 car, 4 laps down on Marcel Shiznik as it stands. So Furman and Barclay and Milan, these three, looking very, very feisty for that 4th position now. As they cross the start-finish line, we can see what sort of lap times they've set. Furman of 43.4, Barclay of 43.5, Milan of 43.5, all pretty much identical. And again, they're just waiting for the mistake. Those tacos tandeming, two in a line, waiting to take opportunity, waiting to take advantage of the same mistake should Furman make one. Perhaps getting close enough to make sure that if the one in front, Barclay, makes the move, Milan can just say thank you very much and move up the inside at the same time. Perhaps that's the strategy the 17 and the 1 are going for. As they move through West Bend, we've now completed over 50 laps of the race. We've completed over 50 laps so far, and we've still got over 2 hours to go. We may start having to take a note of when drivers swap out, because we need to keep an eye on that 70% mark. That is going to be very, very important as Ollie McGowan comes in for the first time this afternoon in the number 99 Speedy Mike car. So Furman, Barkley and Milan, 1.5 seconds separating four of them? There's only 3 of them at the moment, separating the 3 of them at the moment. And again, you can see how much a full pit stop costs McGowan. 2 laps down on Shiznick now after doing a pit stop. As Lorenzo Arisi comes in from second place in the Reborn Racers, number 46. Matthew Beavis does the same in the 37 Rookie Monsters car. So perhaps we're seeing the first pit stops of the front runners coming in after just 40 minutes of the race. This track does use a lot of fuel, but I didn't think it used that much fuel. As Arisi comes back out, coming through turn 1 and 2. Matthew Beavis comes out as well, both of them a lap down on Marcel Shiznick. So they just got to hope that a code 80 doesn't happen, otherwise they're going to be trapped a lap down. They're going to be severely disadvantaged should there be one. As Nico Barkley is closing in onto the back of the 11 car. It's the 37 Rookie Monsters just ahead of these two. And again, that pit road is something that I mentioned earlier. It is very, very dangerous. It is so easy to get a speeding penalty through pit road. Because you're coming off from the straight at full speed and trying to brake down to 100 kilometers an hour. As look at that, Furman makes another mistake coming out of West Bend. Barkley can't capitalise on it though. But he's right there under the rear wing. Will he move to the left or the right hand side of the circuit at 17? He moves to the right hand side of the circuit, but not close enough to make a move down into turn 1 this time round. The brake discs glowing under the arrested speed. So Furman making another mistake up there at West Bend. That really seems to be the weakest point in the circuit. You do need to slow down there, but it's only a lift off the throttle as Furman comes in. So Furman is going to try and do the undercut on these two to try and get a bigger gap after the pit stop phase. Of course, Milan and Barkley will be working on the overcut, try and use the clean air that they've got just now for a couple of laps to see if they can jump the number 11 car in this pit stop cycle. Well, when will the 17 and the 1 both come in? The 17 comes in this time round. The 1 goes on for one more lap. When will Shiznik come in for his first stop as well? Well, the answer is now. The race leader, the number 6, comes into the pits. That will promote Bormalad in the number 1 car to the net lead of the race. As Furman is just coming out of the final corner now. And Nico Barkley is moving. Nico Barkley's coming out of the pits. And manages to jump Furman in the pit stop phase. That's very, very important for the number 17 car. Has jumped the 11 in the pit stops. Very important for the championship. As Bormalan comes into the pits now in the number 1 car from the lead. And that will hand the lead back to Marcel Shiznik and that number 6. Shiznik now passes the start-finish line and puts that number 6 back into position number 1. Lorenzo Risi, I believe, has lost a little bit of time through that pit stop cycle. He's now 8.5 seconds down on Marcel Shiznik, so I think he's lost a couple of seconds through that pit stop cycle. As it's a long stop for Bora. And Bora hasn't managed to pass Furman. A really long stop for the number 1 car. As Milan comes back out a lap down and behind Ollie McGowan in the number 19. I think there may well have been some damage of some description to that number 1. There must have been some damage to Bormalan because he's almost a full lap down on his teammate when they were almost nose to tail coming into the pit stop cycle. So Barkley, Beavis and Furman now all going to be battling for this final podium position. Beavis currently holding it in the 37 car. Then, as they cross the line, 2.5 seconds is Nico Barkley in the 17, and a further second back is Martin Furman in the 11. Having a look at the previous lap times for these three. Beavis's last lap of 43.7, Barkley's and Furman's both of 43.8, so last lap at least, Beavis was the fastest out of the three. Trying to get a couple of people in ready to make the first driver swaps, perhaps, of some of these cars. Matthew Beavis is now being hounded by Bora Milan. You've got to remember that Milan is a lap down on the Rookie Monsters car. That means Beavis isn't going to be getting the blue flags, and Milan up the inside, shoulder barging between the two of them. They're still side by side, coming through the left-hander. Almost contact there, so close. And this is causing Beavis causing him to lose valuable time. Every 10th counts here in the VLMS. That number 37 car doesn't want to lose any of them. That number 1 car is very fast, but he needs to find a way through with an uncooperative car that's ahead. They're making their way up to the chicane, but Milan is flashing his lights at the 37 car. As Milan now lets his teammate through. So Milan fell back very quickly there and let his teammate Nico Barkley through, coming up towards the chicane. But Milan managed to pass Barkley again down in the front straight. Now Barkley is almost going to be coming under attack from Martin Furman soon. Less than a second separating the two of them now. As they cross the line, that gap has increased back up to 1.2. With the gap between Beavis and Barkley now over 2 seconds. So Barkley will now have to try and regain all of that time. But look at this, Milan is right back onto the back of Beavis. These two could be going at it again, but you've got to remember Milan is a lap down. Groff comes into the pits yet again from last place in the number 96 Speedy Bike Racing car. And make an attack this time round. Up to the chicane, no. But Milan is just being a bother here. is clearly very fast, but he just needs to find a way past. Coming down diving bend into the start-finish straight. Milan with all of the slipstream. Will he move to the left or the right? Not making a move into turn 1 at all. Oh, is that the Speedy Mike car off in front? That's Ollie McGowan. Having a big wiggle coming out of the S's. Was there on the grass on the right hand side. That's promoted Borja Milan up into 6th place actually in the number 1 car. There we go, Milan moving to the right hand side, is he? Going to come the inside of turn 1, indeed they are, they're side by side. Contact between the two of them again at turn 1, Beavis pushing. Now they're side by side coming out towards the chicane, are they? Milan trying as hard as possible to pass Beavis. Beavis defending as if it was going to be for the win. Milan, will he move to the right hand side of the circuit again to make it up the inside of turn 1? He's got a nice run again because of that slipstream. But not this time. Of course, the battling between these two has allowed Nico Barkley to close in ever so slightly by about half a second over the past couple of laps. And with Milan there, very bad run through the chicane. These two are fighting as if it is for the last podium position, but Milan is a lap down on Beavis. As Milan comes to a dead stop. And he's got a DNF now, has Borja Milan. I'm very interested to see what that might have been due to. What a bizarre turn of events. So Barkley now has to try and chase down Beavis without the help of his teammate in the number 1. And as that battle was going on, Gross did get out of the pits. Did get out of the car, I should say, rather than number 96. Alex Schmertz is now in that car that's down in 10th place. And Jordi Spears is in the pits as well, in the number 30 car, which makes me think that Rory McDuff is going to be getting into the driver's seat of the number 30. Something that may be useful information for later is that Schmertz got in the car on lap 38, I think. Actually, it was lap 37 for Schmertz, and McDuff got into the car on lap 70. Let's double check this number. On lap 74. As McDuff's gone off at the chicane at the top of the hill, and there's no rear wing on the number 30. And there's big suspension damage there as well. That's gone bad almost immediately for the American in the 30. There's no rear wing on that car, and there's massive suspension damage. He has to try and cross the track to get back to the pits. He's going to try and go straight across the track, and indeed he's back into the pits as the number 30 car. So McDuff has managed to recover that one back to the pits. As we've now finished the first hour of a fairly hectic race here at Line Rock, although there is only 10 cars, it's been very, very hectic. So if we go down the rundown at the moment, and it is the number 6 Blackhawk racing car of Marcel Schiznik in the lead by 12 seconds over the number 46 Reborn Racers of Lorenzo Arisi, who in turn is 10 seconds ahead of the number 37 Rookie Monsters of Matthew Beavis. Fourth place is number 17 One Hacko of Nico Barkley. Fifth is the number 11 One Target of Martin Furman. Then it's the 99 Speedy Mite of William McGowan. Number 2 Gravity Racing of Rick Van Earl. Number 96 Speedy Mite Racing of Alex Schmertz. Of course, Rowan McDuff, number 30 Hydro Esports car, just came into the pits to fix that damage. And the number 1 One Hacko car of Born Milan has retired from the race. The front two at the moment, well, as I said before, that front gap, 12 seconds. Schiznik just doing an absolute masterclass today. How to take a pole position, then just casually walk away with it after. So if the race finished as it stands, of course, as it stands, there could still well be much more happening in the final hour and 45 of this race.
User in your channel timed out. User entered your channel.
There we go. I'm back. Sorry about that. My internet decided to reboot itself without my permission. Wonderful. Anyway, as I was saying, it is as it stands. Schiznik and that Blackhawk team up there in first place, gaining 25 points, and the number 17 One Hacko at fourth place and 12, which means that the gap going into Sebring would be 13 points in Blackhawk number 6. So 13 points would be the difference going into Le Mans, going to Sebring, I should say. It's Sebring the final VLMS, the 4 hours of Sebring in 4 weeks' time. But yes, 13 points would be the difference, which means, I just do some quick maths in my head, that the Blackhawk to guarantee the championship. But it's still Shiznik, and look at that gap. That gap's gone out now to 13.8. Make that 14 seconds. Marcel Shiznik just pulling away at a leisurely pace, almost so much more pace than the rest of the field by the looks of it today. Nico Barkley, that number 17 car, that was determined to make that gap from number 6 smaller. There we go, that's the word that I want, smaller. And it currently is just 1.2 seconds off of the back of the Rookie Monsters number 37. Going back out to 1.5 now, so that's the gap that we've got to look at now, is the one between the 37 and the 17 for that third place. And those two are just making their way through diving turn at the bottom of the track. And coming across the line, what's the difference this time round? Barkley faster by 3/10. Well, actually made that a quarter of a second. You're coming through chicane. That uphill chicane, I would suggest, is very, very different to the rest of the circuit. It's a little bit janky. It's a little bit, what's the point of this? Why is this here? The rest of the circuit is and very flowing. Of course, that chicane needed, because if they just went through the normal circuit, if you will, these LMP2 to take off, shall we say. They have a tendency to do a Peter Dumbrek at Le Mans. And that's certainly not something that we need here in the VL. That gap now down to under a second. Make that almost a half a second as they come down towards the start-finish line. Down towards turn 1. And look at that number 17 car. Closing, but not able to make a move. And they're so close coming through the S's now. The right-hander, then the right and the left, and up towards the chicane. That number 17 car is on a run. Coming out of the final corner, Beavis just a little bit wide. Throwing up a little bit of dirt. And coming into Big Bend. Oh, and Beavis and Barkley side by side coming at the chicane, but again. Oh, that was robust defending from the Rookie Monsters car. And Barkley very, very wide out of the final corner. And now he has no chance coming to turn one to make a move. Indeed he doesn't. He's far too far back now, around a second. That was Beavis making a mistake up at the chicane. As Beavis has now been given a warning for blocking. The Rookie Monsters car given a warning for blocking there after that defending against Barkley in that number 17. So Barkley just falling back a little bit, perhaps just waiting, perhaps just taking a little bit of time before deciding, right, where will I attack next? You're spending a little bit more time researching onto where Beavis is strong and to where he's weaker, but of course this is only 2 3/4 hour race. You haven't got as much time as you would normally. So Barkley will just need to wind up for a couple of laps, just wind up that coil, then attack when the iron is hot. Attack when Beavis may well make a mistake ahead. Now Barkley has to deal with Rick Van Erl behind as well. Number 2 Gravity Racing car. They were so close coming to chicane, almost touching themselves. The number 2 car seems a lot faster at this point of the race as well. And Van Erl making a move on Barkley into turn 1. So Van Erl needs to show that he is faster by quite a bit than Barkley in order to stop getting those blue flags. Indeed, Van Erl seems to be pulling away at quite a rate as it stands in that number 2 car. Of course, that Gravity Racing car 6 laps down at the moment. Now, Beavis needs to see what he can do with Van Erl. Well, Beavis let Van Erl pass. He's caught up to the 37 car already. Incredible pace from the number 2 as it stands. Van Erl almost going up the inside at the chicane there, but no room. As Van Erl comes into the pits in number 2 Gravity Racing car. That's the next pit stop for the car that is in 7th. Now, the 17 has to try and catch the 37 while also trying to defend from the 11 at the same time. as Marcel Szczesnik is now on lap 100. After just an hour and 15 minutes. That means, well, I think we should be reaching about 250 by the end of this race. Not quite 250 perhaps. Might make it to about 220 or so by the end of this race, which is certainly not bad at all. There's now a 3-car train forming for third place, Beavis, Barclay, Furman. As we've reached 90 minutes to go here at Lime Rock Park. These three are going to be battling it out yet again. Going to be very interesting at the next pit stop phase what happens. What will be the strategies of Beavis, Barclay and Furman as you start to get towards... Oh, it's Beavis with a very bad run out of the chicane yet again. Barclay all over the rear wing of the 37. But nothing the 17 can do. The Beavis again. That chicane seems to be his weakest point on the circuit. That's perhaps a little bit of a blessing because it's the hardest point on the circuit to pass. Here we go, Barclay with a very, very good run again, but not able to capitalise on anything before coming to the West Bend. Then diving down the hill. Through the diving turn. And Barclay has came into the pits. We get to see what the next strategy call is going to be on behalf of the 17 team. Now Furman has a chance to try and chase down the 37 car for a couple of laps. And Beavis responds immediately, trying to immediately cover off the attack from the number 17 car. So Beavis responding immediately to the undercut. Now, what will Martin Furman do? Of course, Furman now promoted up into third place because the 37 and the 17 both making pit stops. What is going to be Furman's reply? Is he going to try and respond to both of these two? Or is he just going to continue on his own strategy for now? Barclay comes out of the pits. A Beavis is stopped there for a long, long time. The 37 is still stationary. What's taking him so long? Is Barclay smoking? Barclay's car has started to smoke. Is that due to high temperatures? But that car stopped smoking now. That was a very, very dangerous couple of laps for the number 17. But what caused the number 37's stop to be so long is that they've changed driver. Augusto Arias is now in the pit. Is now in that car after taking over from Matthew Beavis. So that's why that stop was so long. And as a result, they've lost a couple of laps to the number 17. Sorry, excuse me. Is my eyes deceiving me? Just ignore what I just said. They're still ahead of the number 17. So they did manage to hold off that undercut just. Excuse me, yes, the 37 did manage to hold off that undercut from the 17 as Furman keeps on going. So Barkley now has to try and overtake the 37 again, but this time there's a different driver in the seat. So how will Barkley fare against the new opponent? He's much faster off of the diving turn. Is he going to make a move into turn one? He moves to the right hand side of the circuit. Is he going to dive it in? No, just showing his nose. Just trying to psych out Arias in the 37 Rookie Monsters car. That 37 Rookie Monsters must find the correct page. Currently in 8th place in the championship. Got a 5th last time out at Watkins Glen, and that's been the car's best result this far this season. And look at this, side by side coming into diving turn. Indeed it is. Oh, Barkley just needs to hold out of the throttle, needs to lift to avoid an airplane accident for the two of them. Barkley and Arias driving fast, hard, but fair. And there we go, Arias, a big mistake through chicane, allows Barkley up the inside. They're going side by side through the West Bend. Oh my goodness, Code Brown for both of them. Again, Barkley had to let out of the throttle to avoid a giant accident. These two are really putting their cars' races in each other's hands. Do we know Barkley's very, very good at the chicane? And look at them, they're both got up behind the traffic. The traffic is in fact Lorenzo Arisa, I do believe, who's a couple of laps ahead. The chicane, Barkley launching the attack. Trying to go as possible. Round the outside this time round, but that's not working either. Oh, and that's Arias off with the West Bend. And into the barrier. The 37 into the barriers at the West Bend. And that was caused by Arias just going too fast in there and just losing the back end after the left-hand side tyres got into the grass. There you go, Arias. Done. A 360 at the top. Sorry, a 180 spin at the top to come into the pits to fix the damage on that number 37 car. So Furman has came into the pits. Augusto Arias is DNF'd. I think part of the problem there was that he was perhaps couldn't see when to rejoin because he was just underneath the crest of the hill. That number 37 car has DNF'd. As Lorenzo Risi comes in. So Henning Villart and Nico Barkley. Barkley's managed to pass Villart. Sorry, Barkley and Villart were already that way round, I think. So I was too busy focusing on other events. But yes, Barkley and now it's Henning Villart and the number 11 car go battling against each other. As we're now over halfway through the race here at Lime Rock. And even though there's only been 10 cars, it's been non-stop action. So Arisi, still stationary there. Marcel Shiznik, when will the Blackhawk number 6 come back in? Of course, I think that perhaps Shiznik is just focusing on staying out as long as possible to try and counteract against any Code 80 should one happen, and consolidate the lead that he's got. Arisi still stationary in the Reborn Racers car. There's been a driver swap to Herman Stokke, and not only that, they've lost second place, and they've lost third place as well. That number 37, sorry, that number 47, and it's the 46. Shall I try that again? Number 46 Reborn Racers car has moved from second to fourth under that pit stop cycle. So Herman Stokke now in that Reborn Racers 46. Trying to chase down Villart and Barkley, and that is a mammoth task. So Shiznik, because of the virtue of Shiznik not yet pitting, he's got a 2-lap lead over second place. But when will the race leader come into the pits for his second stop? Surely that this next stop has to be a driver change in order to be able to make that 70% mark. So Barkley and Villart currently covered by 3 seconds. And there's a further 3 seconds back to Herman Stokke in that 46 Reborn Racers car. At this point, it's about looking at the timing screens and seeing what sort of lap times these three can put in, because now almost like a time attack between the three of them. Nico Barkley used to keep an eye on what laps the number 11 is putting in. Number 11 not only has to keep an eye on the number 17's lap times, but also the number 46's lap times as well. As Marcel Shiznik still carries on. He's coming through West Bend now. Surely he's got to be coming in the next couple of laps or so. Indeed, he comes in this time round. So the race leader comes in. And there's going to be a driver change there as well. Daniel Visna is waiting in the wings. The Visna will be getting into the Blackhawk number 6. And also, something that, I've just keeping an eye on is that Nico Barclay has to come in the next 25 minutes. Actually, make that 20 minutes just to be safe. He needs to come in order to reach that 70% marker and swap over with someone. The other drivers under that number 17 car are Erhan Yuyovsky and Dylan Scrivens. So one of them needs to get in and take over that number 17. But of course, Barclay needs to pit within the next 20 minutes or so in order to be able to have that car classified. If it isn't classified, if it's disqualified because of driver time, and the number 6 Blackhawk car wins this race, the 6 wins the championship. So, Visna comes back out of the pits. How much of a lead does he have? Having a look at the live timing, which of course you can follow along as well at SimRacing.Club/VLMS-live-timing. The gap between Visna and Barclay, 28 seconds. A lap round here. The number 6 car has about 2/3 of a lap advantage over the number 17 Wanako. Indeed, you can see as the 17 just crosses the start-finish line, the number 6 is coming down towards West Bend. That second to last corner, the right-hander at the top of the hill. So Barclay, Villard and Stockey. It's fairly interesting. That gaps all of them have been fairly stable and fairly equidistant since that last round of pit stop, since Herman Stockey came in. We take the last lap, for example. Barclay the fastest, a 43.1. Then Villard in a 43.3 and Stockey in a 43.5. So Barclay the fastest out of the 3 last time round. The problem is they're going to be coming up to traffic. Number 17 is going to be coming up on the 96 and the 30. They're together. They're 6 laps apart, those two. Well, I say that number 96 just came in, Alex Schmertz. Alex Schmerz is interesting. That car came in on lap 67 and made a driver swap from Groth to Schmerz. So they've got to keep an eye on this driver time rule as well. Nico Barclay has managed to pass Rory McDuff actually in that number 30 car. Henning Vullart is the next car behind in that number 11 one target to try and pass that 30. Sorry, Schmerz is in... Yeah, Schmerz is in the 96. Excuse me, I was right the first time. Antonio Navarro that's now in the 99 car. Taking over from Ollie McGowan from the beginning of this race. And Schmerz leaves the pit lane now at a leisurely 100 kilometers an hour. Avisna is now coming up to Herman Stocky, so 4th place is getting the blue flags. And Stocky's had a big moment actually over the past couple of laps because he's lost a lot of time. He's lost the best part of 10 seconds. As Stocky moves to the right hand side of the circuit, allowing Daniel Visna pass. So that puts the top 3 on the same lap now. Just the 3 left on the lead lap. Now Nico Barclay still, well, that number 17 car still needs to make 2 stops, I think. I think that 17 car still needs to make 2 stops. Still needs to make 1 to change the driver. Then it won't have enough fuel to actually make it all the way to the end of the race. So I think it needs to make a splash and dash. So Taco still needs to make 2 stops, which means he's going to make 1 more stop than his competitors around him. And that is going to really hurt the 17. As Visna went off at the chicane there. Taking a look at that, excuse me. Visna went off at the chicane, got a big wiggle on turning. That's allowing Nico Barclay to close up that gap just a little bit by 1.5 seconds or 2 seconds. I should make that about 3 seconds. Barclay managed to close that gap just because of that little mistake by Visna. That's all it really takes around here at Lime Rock. The chicane is fine, the chicane is forgiving, but the rest of the track is not. The rest of the track will take you, chew you up, and spit you out for dinner. Because of the grass, then Armco. The very old school circuit that doesn't allow any mistakes whatsoever. And just sort of like a little fact, if you will. Well, let's say fact. Lime Rock Park, this circuit's only 1.5 miles long. With 134 laps, that means it's going to be 200 miles completed in the race. About 200 miles, let's say that's about 320 kilometres, 325 kilometres or so. And just, well, it's going to be about 1 hour and 45 minutes. That's an incredibly fast circuit. That's incredibly fast pace. And it just goes to show what sort of speed these cars have round here at Lime Rock. So that gap, I think Daniel Visna's been a little bit spooked by that mistake he did. Because he's starting to lose time to Nico Barclay now. He's lost a couple of seconds since making that mistake up the chicane. And Visna, let's have a look at what that last lap time actually was from the driver of the number 6 car. It was a 44.0. That was the slowest of all cars on track. Barclay, on the other hand, did a 43.4. Just 0.6 of a second last lap alone, eaten out of that lead gap by the Monaco number 17. Das Visna has now thought, right, there's no use pushing at 100% now. Perhaps if we just drive at 90, 95, we can keep this gap and take home this win. Indeed, 134 laps completed, so it's 200 miles after just an hour and 42 minutes here at Lime Rock. So 200 miles, that is somewhere about 325 kilometres. So that's what, an average speed of 170, 180 kilometres an hour? Incredibly high average speed here. And a mix of the high speeds and the length of the track is what caused this round to be split, if you will. So is the LMP2 is just now an hour and, well, just over an hour to go left in this race. Then at 5 p.m. Central European time, 4 p.m. in the UK, it's about 11 a.m. I think on the east coast of America. So that's in 2 hours and 20 minutes. The race for the GT cars will begin here at Lime Rock. It's going to be exactly the same, 2 hours and 45 minutes for them. Round the same layout of Lime Rock. So make sure to join us for that in about, well, the broadcast will start in just over 2 hours time for that one. I would say about 2 hours and 5, 2 hours and 10 minutes until the broadcast starts for the GT race. So join us for that one. 2 hours and 45 there, and a few more cars. I think we're going to be expecting about 20 to 25 GT cars. I'm not exactly sure. We'll see when the qualifying has concluded as to how many GTE cars we will receive there. But yes, Visna is losing a lot of time now. That gap is now down to 16 seconds. There's been a driver swap there. That's in the number 2 car. The Gravity Racing has swapped car from Rick Van swapped driver even from Rick Van Erl to Jean-Paul Van Erl. That last lap by Visna of 43.8, Nico Barclay of 43.4. That's about 4.5 tenths taken out between the two of them last time round. That gap between the 6 and the 17 starting to close ever so slowly. That is fairly 1 hour to go here at Lime Rock Park. There's still going to be a couple of stops left, I would suggest. Well, say there's an hour to go. That number 17 car needs to stop in the next 10 minutes. That 70% rule may well come and bite that number 17 car. It needs to stop. Well, presuming that both parts of the race are going to be exactly the same, if it was going to be a straight green flag run, 49.5 minutes is 30% of the race. With the code 80, I'd say you could possibly push that towards 49 or 48.5, but I wouldn't want to push it that far. That number 17 car needs to stop within the next 10 minutes. Otherwise, we could championship contender be disqualified. Will it be Yuyovsky or will it be Scrivens that gets into that number 17 car to finish off this race? It needs to be one of them. But Barkley is closing down that gap at a great rate of knots. It's now under 15 seconds, the lead gap. You've got to remember, when that last pit stop cycle was over and when Vista got into the car, it was 28 seconds. So that gap has been halved. That gap now down to 14 seconds. Barkley is closing at a great rate of knots. He's closing in by half a second, 7/10 of a second every lap. But he needs to get out. 7 minutes until he needs to get out. But I can't see, there's no driver for Wanako there. There's no driver for Wanako in the swap area yet. The 17 is very, very close. Erhan Yuyovsky is now in the swap area. Okay, so Yuyovsky is now there. The question is, when will Barkley come in and make that swap? Barkley. And that number 17 car still needs to pit 2 more times. It needs to stop to swap drivers, then stop again for a splash and dash towards the end of this race. Nico Barkley just coming up over the top of the hill, then toward now. Barkley going past again. Now, I will need to find a piece of. I will need to find a pen to write down what lap Barkley comes in and swaps over, because that is going to be crucial. That will tell us how many laps Yuyovsky needs to complete in order for the car to be classified. And that gap now down to 13 seconds. An absolutely stellar job by Barkley, but he needs to step out. 54 minutes to go, roughly 54 minutes to go here at Lime Rock Park now. And there's still a lot to be played out here. There's still a lot to happen. So Barkley, come out of West Bend, down through the diving turn at the bottom of the hill. And it's not this time by. I'm not even driving the car, but I'm starting to feel really nervous for them. And that number 17 car, well, I suppose that's why they're driving at the caliber and the speed that they are, and they've got the strategy that they have, and I'm sat here commentating. I wouldn't have the nerve, I wouldn't have the bottle to go this close to the line, to get this close to the car not being classified. To do it, but obviously Wanako, Barkley and Yuyovsky do. And that gap now down to 11.5 seconds. Yuyovsky will be hoping to have at least some of the pace out of Barkley to continue this amazing speed that number 17 is getting out of it. And to continue what Barkley has done so far this afternoon. "52 minutes to go." I'm almost feeling nervous for them now. When is Barkley coming in? He's obviously going to stretch this tank, try and get every single drop of fuel out of it. And it's this time by Barkley comes in. 150 laps completed. I actually made that 151 laps completed. Which means that Yuyovsky needs to complete 65 laps in that car. Which means that car needs to complete 216 by the end of the race. That, I believe, is the target number for the 17. It's 216 laps. And there we go, there's the driver swap. Erhan Yuyovsky out onto the track now. And falling down to 5th place because he's been passed by Villard, Stocky and Antonio Navarro in the number 99 Speedy Mike car. So 216 is the target number for Erhan Yuyovsky. But can he put a tank of fuel on 50? Can he spend 50 minutes on a tank of fuel? I'm not sure. That could be pushing it as well. it can be very, very close for the number 17 car in both making it on fuel to the end and actually making it on speed, making it on time to the end as well. So we're back down to just 2 cars on the lead lap now. It's Visna and Villart, the 6 and the 11, mainly because they haven't came to the pits yet. You can see how much of how much pit stops cost you here at Lime Rock. Kiyosaki now 2 laps down on Daniel Visna. And Yuyovsky will be coming up to his first battle. Antonio Navarro is straight ahead in the 99 Speedomite car, and this is going to be a battle for position. They're coming to the S's. Yuyovsky up the inside. Can't make a move this time round. Oh, Yuyovsky's gone round. Yuyovsky's looped it. Oh, and beautiful car control. Keep that to keep that in a straight line, but Yuyovsky looped it behind Navarro. A perfect little 360 there from the 17, but that's made its tyres into 50 pence pieces. A little bit of a code brown coming out of that right-hander. Just got on the grass on the outside by the looks of it, and just lost traction on those left-hand side tyres, and away round we went. Yovsky, incredible little bit of car control. Yovsky will need to try and gain all that time back onto Antonio Navarro, and of course, he will have a little bit of doubt in his mind now, just thinking, right, I made that mistake, I really need to be careful at that corner. And as a result, he might not be as fast through that corner now. Yovsky flirting with the grass there again. Now he's got Daniel Visna straight ahead. Visna is the race leader. Yovsky trying to unlap himself from the race leader to go back to 1 lap down. Yovsky now stuck behind the race leader, but Yovsky 2 laps down. Can Yovsky make a run up through chicane? He's got a good run, but oh, there was a little bit of a wiggle there on the exit actually. As Antonio Navarro comes in from the 99 car. Antonio Navarro comes in from the 99 car. It looks like he will continue that car to the end again. Yuyovsky at that same corner. He really is playing with fire there. There was another wiggle. And while Visna is on this pace, Henning Vullart is closing on these two. And of course means that Yayovsky is losing time to Villart as well, because he just can't get past Visna. Here he comes. Yayovsky, right, left. No, not this time by. The car ahead getting blue flags. I think that's actually Antonio Navarro in the 99 car that's just came out from the last pit stop. Indeed, it is Navarro. And Visna losing time hand over fist to Henning Villart. That last lap. Villart was actually slower that last time round. Perhaps it wasn't the best time to take that lap as an example. Yovsky moving to the right hand side of the circuit. No, can't get past Visna. And Yovsky knows if he takes out Visna, who's not only the race leader but also direct championship rival, that would be looked down upon quite badly by the officials here. The next one up is actually the other Speedy Mike car. It's Alex Schmerz. So that is Antonio Navarro. They've all passed Schmerz. Now they're passing Navarro. They're putting another lap down on the 99 car. There's the two Speedy Mike cars in line. Again, Yayovsky just can't get past Visna. Now, because Yayovsky can't get past Visna, he's now in danger of being passed by Henning Villart once Villart makes his stop. The strategy game is intriguing here at Lime Rock. Oh, there we go. Could that be the opportunity? No! Yayovsky still can't make a way through. It's certainly not helped the fact that Lime Rock doesn't really have that many passing opportunities. Coming up through chicane this time round, and no! That is definitely Visna's weakest point, I believe. I think that is the number 6's weakest point. But Yayovsky just can't get a good enough run through it in order to pass the number 6 before West Bend. Through the left-hander. The chicane! No, still no way through for the number 17. He's losing so much time. He's just got to hope that the number 6 car has to come in soon. But it's not this time. And speaking of this time round, it's now 167 laps completed, which means 250 miles. .250 miles, or if you're so kilometer orientated. It's 400, just over 400, 402 kilometers completed after 2 hours and 5 minutes. So, can Yuyovsky make a launch in the chicane this time round? He's now a nice distance back, actually, which means he might not be that hindered by the 6, but no, not able to do anything this time round. There's got to be some sort of magic fuel tank in that number 6 car. It's got to have at least 20 litres more than everyone else. How can he keep on going? The 170 laps completed now. And Yuyovsky in that number 17 still looking for a way past, still looking to take back one of its laps against Daniel Visna. But of course, Visna still needs to make a stop. And I think perhaps that Yuyovsky still needs to make a stop as well. And something that Yuyovsky has to be mindful of is Henning Vullart in that number 11 one-target car. Because that gap between Visna and Vullart, and thus between Yuyovsky and Vullart, is about 13 seconds. There could be oh, look at that, Yuyovsky is so wide out of the final turn! Because there's only about 13 seconds between them, make that about 12, there's a real chance that Vullart can pass Yuyovsky in this next pit stop cycle. As Vullart comes in, the number 11 car comes in, and I believe there's going to be a driver change back to Martin Furman for the final stint of this race, for the final 36 minutes. They're now both passing Jean-Paul Van Earl, that number 2 Gravity Racing car. Flashing the lights, I think there could have been a little bit of contact there between the 17 and the 2. So where will Vullart come back out? Where will Furman come back out? Where will that number 11 one-target car come out? Indeed, there's been no driver change there. It's just been Henning Vullart putting in fuel. And he's a good distance ahead of the 17. Almost 2/3 of a lap. It's actually 31 seconds the gap between Vullart and Yuyovsky. So Yuyovsky needs to try and make up 31 seconds to take that second place back from Vullart. That is going to be a mammoth task with only 35 minutes remaining. So, because of Vullart's stop, that means that Daniel Visna and that number 6 car is now the only car on the lead lap. But Daniel Visna and that number 6 car still needs to stop. And again, 6 still not coming in. What sort of fuel economy are they getting out of that? They're coming through the S's. Up towards the chicane again. I think Yovski's just decided, right, there's no use me battling Visna now. Just stay behind until Visna makes his stop. Oh, and Yovski very, very wide into the final corner again. I think it's just the understeer that he's getting from being in the wake of the car in front might just be putting him off a little. Chicane again, and nothing for Yovski. When is that 6 going to be coming in? Not this time round. It's incredible the sort of economy that they're getting out of that thing. The last time Visna came in, let's have a look at what lap 123 the last time Visna came in. So 54. Again, Yuyovsky very wide at the last corner. I think you can disregard what I said about Yuyovsky not trying anymore. It's clear that he is. As Alex Schmertz comes in the 96 Speedy Mike racing car. What will be the final stop of the race for that one? You've got to remember 216 is the magic number for Erhan Yuyovsky and that number 17 car to be classified at the end of this race. 216. Alex Schmertz will be staying in that car because there's no one in the driver's swap area for Speedy Mike. They come down the front straight and into turn 1. Again, 280, 290 kilometers an hour they're reaching before braking. Oh, I love Lime Rock Park. It is one of my favourite American circuits, right there with Virginia International Raceway and COTA. I'd say those are my 3 favourite American circuits. And Yuyovsky still not able to get past. He's been stuck there for 25, 30 laps. So just half an hour remaining here at Lime Rock, just under half an hour, make that about 29.5 minutes or so. Which means that when Visna pits, A, doesn't have to be a full tank, and B, he can go on pretty much qualifying mode till the end of the... And there goes Visna. Visna comes in. The race leader comes in with just under half an hour to go. So Erhan Yuyovsky has finally been released to try and chase down the one target, number 11. Only has he been released, though, I have a feeling that Yuyovsky needs to make another pit stop still, just for a splash and dash at the end of the race. Being a splashes and dashes, Visna comes out ahead of Yuyovsky still. So Yuyovsky is still one lap down, and he's got to try and do it all over again. Look at this, it's almost like they've never been apart. Just one lap difference, and Yuyovsky right back there behind Visna. Can Visna do anything now to try and pass Visna? Can Yuyovsky do anything now to try and pass Visna? And you, what have I done to deserve this? What have I done to be stuck behind him again? So, and it's just 20 seconds between Visna and Vullart now. So that battle is certainly not over either. The battle for the lead of the race, 20 seconds separating the 11 and the 6, with 26 minutes to go. Got to remember, join us again for the GT race. Start broadcasting at about 16:35, 16:40 Central European time, so in about an hour and 20 minutes or so. With beginning of the broadcast for the GTs, it's going to be exactly the same for them as well. 2 hours and 45 2 hours and 45 minutes round Lime Rock Park chicane. And that race will be a lot of fun as well. So coming up the hill, and Yuyovsky still can't find a way past. This is almost torture for the Macedonian. Come round Big Bend. And nothing to be done this time round. Yuyovsky perhaps having a look up there into West Bend, but not a good enough run. Of course, he does not want to take Visna out, because again, like I said previously, not only is Visna only the leader of this race, but also a direct championship rival to the 17. And if it finishes as it stands at Sebring in 4 weeks, The Blackhawk team would need to finish on the podium to guarantee the championship. And here we come, Yovsky going to the left-hand side of the circuit. Buffalo Gals all the way around the outside, and he does it! The 17 finally passes the 6 to get back onto the lead lap. Yovsky, the Macedonian, is finally released. The gap between the top Willart is 18 seconds behind Visna. Yovsky is 25 behind Willart. So 18 seconds between first and second, 25 between second and third. This can all change so quickly here in the VLMS. Yovsky needs to try and pull back those 25 seconds in 22.5 minutes to make it harder for the Blackhawk squad at Sebring. But I don't think he's going to do it, especially against someone of the caliber of Henning Willart in that number 11 car. Also, Yovsky needs to get to that magic marker, 216. They've got 22 minutes to complete 7 laps. You should be able to do it as long as there isn't a code 80. I believe that actually Yovsky that last lap got a cut track penalty. At the chicane, I would believe, because I don't think that last lap time was actually recorded. Indeed, it wasn't. So I think Yovsky got a penalty, at least got not a penalty, but at least a warning last time round. So we still got to keep an eye on that lap counter for the 17 as well. 20 minutes to go, 25 laps needed. And Yovsky is chasing down Willart so quickly. The gap that was 25 seconds a few laps ago is now down to 21.5. That gap between Yovsky and Willart as they cross the start finish line is now 20 seconds. He could well be making this, you know. He could well be challenging Willart at the end of this race. That would be absolutely extraordinary if he could. It'd be a hero drive from the 17. But the question is, can he make it in time? It's going to be so close, both in terms of can he make the challenge to Villard and can he make that car classified. As I believe that's Rory McDuff appears to have just taken a little bit of a scenic route on the exit of turn 1, and McDuff is in again. There's something else that I just need to check. If I just get my handy calculator out, Alex Schmertz got into that 96 car on lap 67, I'm pretty sure. Which means that car cannot complete more than 223 laps, but I think that is fine. I'd be very surprised if that car could complete 36 laps in 18 minutes round here at Lime Rock. I mean, it's not possible to... I mean, it could well be possible if you broke the sound barrier a couple of times, but I don't think it is for now. So the 17 came in with about 51 minutes to go. And I think that 17 might also still need a splash and dash. I'm not exactly sure, but I'd be very surprised if he can make it 51 minutes, not only in the pace that he's doing, but also with the ferocity that Yuyov's drive. Of course, he could well have been helped by just staying behind Visna for quite a while, just saving a little bit of fuel. There are still question marks over whether number 17 needs a splash and dash. The gap at the front is 16 seconds between Visna and Villard. Between Villard and Yuyovsky, it's now 19 seconds. "20 laps needed now for Yuyovsky. 16 minutes to go." That of course means he can't let any lap, well, he can't let the average of laps, excuse me, be any more than 40. But if there is a code 80, that could really throw a spanner in the works. Bullet, the last lap, I think, got a warning as well. Bullet in the number 11. One target car, the one that's currently in second place. So Vesna crosses the line. It's 200 laps completed this afternoon. That's now 300 miles. "300 miles, 480 kilometers completed in the race." The 300 miles completed now. Fantastic speed held up. Of course, just the one code 80 so far. Very early in the race, in the first half hour or so actually, if memory serves me correctly, after Jordi Spheres in the 30 car went off at turn 1. So, 15 seconds now, the lead. Just protecting that lead perhaps a little bit, knowing that he's got this in the bag. Bissonnette now has traffic ahead. It's Van Aerle and it's McDuff. The cars in 6th and 8th respectively. So Yovsky still needs to complete 14 laps. 12.5 minutes to go, but of course he still needs to make a splash and dash, I do believe, to make it to the end of the race. Yovsky still chasing down Willart, a great rate of not 17 seconds the gap now. But he's just going to run out of time. 12 minutes is not enough time to gain 17 seconds. That is, of course, unless Willart makes a mistake. Oh, and Yovsky's gone off at turn 1! Yovsky's off at turn 1! Took a nice little excursion through the grass, turned that prototype, turned that Oracle 07 into a little rallycross car. And I can tell you that perhaps rallycrossing is not the best use of these prototypes. It's certainly not what they're designed for. I mean, you can rallycross them, but I personally wouldn't recommend that. And Viz now just bringing it home again. It's been a fantastic race today by that number 6 Blackhawk car. Qualified on pole and never looked back. Number 17 car's done very well to fight back from last. Nico Barclay, an incredible job to come from last up into third. Number 11 car, the one target, Henning Willert, currently at the wheel in second place, has done what they've always been like, very fast and very anonymous, and it can be a good thing, and it certainly has been today. Used strategy to jump the cars ahead, and now they're going to be rewarded with a second place finish. 10 laps needed for Yovsky in about 9 minutes. He should be good. He should be able to make it just. Certainly isn't going to reach Willart now. 21 seconds separating the two of them with 9 minutes to go. to Yovsky. I thought that was just my eyes deceiving me. I thought there was smoke coming out of the back of that number 17 car again, but no, it was just a little bit of dust being kicked up after going ever so slightly wide at that same corner that that he had the spin at about half an hour ago. And there we go, Yovsky comes in. Yovsky comes in for the splash and dash with 8 minutes to go. Actually make that almost 7 minutes to go. Once this broadcast has completed, we're going to be having about a 45-minute break or so. Then we'll be back again with the GT broadcast for the GT sprint race. It's about 45 minutes or so break that we're going to be taking to let ourselves recharge a little bit and recover from the excitement of what's happened in this race. So Yovsky is back out on the circuit after the splash and dash. He's got Alex Schmerz and Jean-Paul Van Aerle ahead, 7th and 6th respectively, and actually they're battling for a position themselves. Van Aerle and Schmerz just about between the two of them. They're coming down into the first corner, and Schmerz is not close enough to make a move onto the number 2 car. Schmerz needs to let Yovsky by at some point. As Van Aerle and Schmerz very, very wide in the final corner. Did he hit the barriers on the outside? No. I've no idea how he managed to keep that one off of the barriers. How did he keep that one off? Incredible. As Schmerz loses the back end under braking for the chicane. He manages to collect it all back up again, not to lose that much time to Jean-Paul Van Aerle, that number 2 Gravity Racing car. Schmerz and Van Aerle nose to tail coming through the S's. 5 minutes to go, less than 5 minutes to go here at Lime Rock Park. And Schmerz has gone off again. The same goes for Van Aerle. There's been contact between the two of them. Up at the West Bend, I believe. That was the West Bend. There was contact between the two coming in there. Both of them coming off unscathed. Both of them coming off with no damage. Somehow. As Visna crosses the line, 215 laps completed now. And just a few minutes to go. Should be able to make that 216 lap marker, the one that was incredibly important for that number 17 car to be classified this afternoon. be clapped here in Connecticut at the Lime Rock Duels. At the Lime Rock Sprints. I like how they're named the Lime Rock Sprints, because even though this is a short race, 2 hours and 45 minutes, they say it's a sprint because it's shorter. Every single race here at the SRC is a sprint now. 4 hour, 6 hour, 8 hour, 12 hour, even a 24-hour sprint on the 1st of June when the VEC reaches its climax at Le Mans. And Henning Vullart is also closing down on Daniel Visna. The gap there now 9.8 seconds. Make that 9 seconds as he crosses the line. But he's just going to run out of time as the 11th. Henning Vullart is just going to run to gain this win, to gain that position 1. And 2 minutes to go as Daniel Visna rounds the West Bend. That means that for that number 6 Blackhawk team, it's going to be 3 wins in a row. The lovely 11-point gap going into Le Mans. Going into Sebring. Got to get that right. Getting into 11-point gap for that number 6 team. For Daniel Visna. For Shabakis, for Marcel Shiznik, for Balzvaro, and for Alexei Zagordnev also. They're going to have 11 points over the number 17 car. One minute to go here in the VLMS. 2 laps. Don't quote me on that though. And that gap between Visna and Vullart coming down is now 8 seconds. It's going to be 15 minutes too short for Henning Vullart. And I must say, my car of the day so far today is going to be difficult to pick between the 17 and the 6. The 6 qualified on pole and never looked back, and it was a fantastic fight by Nico Barkley in that 17 to get back up into the podium positions. Those two have got to be my cars of the race. As Daniel Visna comes through the S's, time expired. Here at Lime Rock, Visna coming through the chicane for the 221st time. It's going to be 331 miles completed by that number 6 car. And it's win number 3 in a row. Erhan Gujovski takes 3rd place in that number 17 car, and Henning Vullart rounds out the podium in that number 11 in 2nd. Incredible race by that number 6 car. No one could touch them. They were starting to lose a bit of pace towards the end, but Henning Vullart, Martin Furman, and one target just ran out of time. The winner of the race is Daniel Visna and that number 6 Blackhawk Racing. There's the number 11 One Targets, the number 17 One Acco. Then it's Reborn Racers number 46. Antonio Navarro in the number 99 Speedymite Racing car. Jean-Paul Van Erl in the number 2 Gravity Racing. Alex Schmerz in the 96 Speedymite. Number 30 Hydra Esports. Then not finishing the race is the number 37 Rookie Monsters and the number 1 Acco. An absolutely incredible race here at Lime Rock, all decided on strategy. All even though there was only 10 cars, it produced a massive amount of excitement. So join us in 45 minutes where we're going to be seeing the GTEs doing the same thing. 2 hours and 45 minutes round Lime Rock Park. So long, farewell, and we'll see each other on the other side.